Hello, everyone, and welcome to Enhance ServiceNow with Automated Discovery for Mainframe and IBM I. Today's webinar is sponsored by Precisely and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Keith Ward. I'm with Actual Tech Media, and I'm truly excited to be your moderator for this special event. But before we get to today's presentation, there are a few housekeeping items to know that'll help you get the most out of this event. First of all, we want this to be an informative event for you, so we encourage any questions in the questions box in your webinar control panel. Also, let us know where you're coming from today. We're seeing people from Texas, from Wisconsin, from Atlanta, from pretty much all over the place, from Virginia. And so keep letting us know where you are. Always excited to see everyone here. Okay, also in that webinar control panel is where you can ask questions for our experts. At the end of the presentation, we are going to have a dedicated Q&A session, and so stay tuned for that as well. Now, that Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues you might be experiencing. If you got problems, the first thing you're going to want to do is just a browser refresh. That'll fix most everything that's going wrong if you're not seeing slides advancing or anything like that. If you're still having problems after that, just let us know and we'll get right on top of it. Okay, next, in the handout section of your webinar control panel, that's right next to that questions tab, you'll find a number of important resources, including a handout from Precisely on how to get started with their technology. In that handout section, you'll also find a link to the Gorilla Guide Book Club where you can get access to our huge library of printed resources on all kinds of technology topics. There you will also find a link to our ATM Event Center, which has a calendar of upcoming events. Check them out, see what we got coming up, see if there's other things you might be interested in. I bet there is. So sign up if you see something that that's calling out to you. All right. Finally, at the end of this webinar, we will be awarding a $250 Amazon gift card to one of you. Now, you do have to be in attendance during the entire live event to qualify for the prize. If you want to look at the official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing, they can also be found in the handout section. All right, enough with the boring stuff. Let's get to the main attraction. What do you think? It is my pleasure to introduce you to our presenters today. We have got Bill Hammond and Ian Hartley, both from Precisely. They are ready to drop some knowledge on you. Bill, the floor is yours. I think you are kicking this off, so take it away.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I'm joined here, as we just pointed out, with Ian Hartley. I'm in the product marketing area. Ian's in the product management area. And our topic today really is focused around ServiceNow and really the importance of discovery to your ServiceNow environment and how we can help maybe close some holes or help augment that environment for you in the discovery area. The topic here today is one that ServiceNow talks a lot about, and so we want to just kind of highlight what they talk about with discovery, and then Ian's going to take over from me about halfway through and give you a little bit more of an idea of how our product actually works and what it does. So with that as a preamble here, let me get started. Our agenda today, I'm going to talk about discovery and how it sort of fits into the IT operations landscape that everybody's dealing with. I want to talk specifically a little bit about the automation that's involved in the ServiceNow product and also what we carry forward as far as automation for this problem and why automation is really so critical to this challenge. We got a couple of customer stories to share with you, people that are using this today and the benefits they're reaping from it. And then we should have time at the end to answer a few questions that you might have. So with that said, I will get going and really want to talk about, again, like I said, discovery in the IT operations landscape. You know, when we talk about, so what is IT operations, I want to go back to ServiceNow's view of what that is, since that's really the center point of what we're talking about today. And the highlights that they talk about when they're talking about IT operations, it's the being able to predict things, find out what's going to happen, and hopefully either, know what's going to happen or try to keep it from happening if that's the right thing. So being able to get the right data together, be able to see that data in the right way, get rid of the data that you don't care about, the noise, and be able to just identify things that are outside of norms or things that are concerning and may cause a problem in the future. So being able to get into that world of, look, I've got all this data, but how can I use it to actually benefit my environment and make things better? Another area that they talk about with IT operations being important is minimizing the user impact. So if you haven't been able to predict something and it does happen, how do you minimize the negative impact on your user community? Hopefully that means mitigating the problem really quickly, limiting it to the smallest number of people possible, being able to reduce those impacts of, operations anomalies or operational problems and get back to normal state as quickly as possible, impacting the fewest number of users as possible. So minimizing that impact of those. Another thing that ServiceNow drives towards when they talk about IT operations is automating the resolutions. They talk a lot about being able to identify from all this data that's being collected, identify the problem, and if it's something that recurs, on a regular basis, being able to automate the either recovery from or prevention of that sort of a problem. So again, this helps with the first two, being able to minimize the impact. If you can automate that solution, you take the human error out of it. You can generally get it done faster with automation, and you can do it with fewer people. These repetitive tasks that may have to happen on a regular basis, you can set up, automated responses to them, playbooks, so that everybody knows how to deal with this problem, and you're not reliant on the one person in your organization who actually has done this before and knows how to do it. You can document and automate these types of resolutions. That's critically important. The fourth pillar here, and that's going to be kind of the centerpiece of our discussion today, is discovering your IT environment. And that's a fancy way of saying knowing what my IT environment looks like. Get the complete viewpoint, the full visibility of everything in your infrastructure. Things that are on-prem, applications that are in the cloud, your resources around whether cloud, on-prem, different locations, all that stuff. Being able to see your entire IT infrastructure and being able to see that on an ongoing, regular basis as changes are made. So as systems come online or are brought online or swapped out for new hardware and things like that, making sure that discovery of those new things or those changes in the environment are documented and recognized in your CMDB. That's a critical point for kind of the foundation of these other things, of being able to have predictability and minimizing impact and automation. You need to have a single source of record of what my IT environment looks like and know what changes are made, because those changes can impact predictability and minimizing user impact and the automation processes you set up. So discovery is a foundational piece of being able to deliver effective IT operations. And then finally, really, in order to deliver that discovery, you need to get the data from all the different systems that you've got, be able to get all of that into, again, your CMDB, and have that strong foundation or that strong system of record, single system of record of everything in your environment in order to deliver the IT operations that you really need from your environment. So with those five sort of pillars being part of IT operations, what customers really see from ServiceNow is, the Now platform, and that is the infrastructure that ServiceNow provides to deliver not just IT operations, but as you can see, along the bottom, sales, marketing, ERP. ServiceNow is a very broad-based platform that can drive all of these use cases or these business processes. And again, as we'll talk today, we're really focused in that IT world, in the IT workflows. But it's important to recognize that ServiceNow relies on the entirety of everything they're collecting in that platform to do this, business process optimization, really across everything in your business ultimately for them. We're again focused on the IT side of things, more specifically on IT operations. So, IT operations, visibility is the key to operational excellence. I think this is a phrase that we use pretty much all the time. You need to be able to see what your environment contains, what's going on in your environment, and all the different elements that are part of your environment in order to do that effectively. And if you're missing pieces of that environment, you're going to have a hard time doing root cause analysis, finding the issues that are affecting your users, predicting things that might happen. You need to see the entire version of the truth. So full visibility is really critical. Another operational excellence driver really is the agility, the ability to do things quickly, the ability to change things. As your environment changes, as Discovery discovers additional items, additional issues, being able to adapt your process and your issues to that is critically important as well. And then IT resilience, just having the IT infrastructure constructed in a way that is, effective and, best practices and those kind of things. All of those three things are really critical to the element of operational intelligence. But visibility is really something you need to look at like as a business investment. You need to spend money to make sure that your view of your environment really is the truth, it's up to date, it's accurate, and that you can rely on it. Because the impact can be pretty substantial in terms of monetary hit if your environment has downtime or has problems that you need to resolve. So, view the discovery piece and the visibility that it provides as a critical business investment. I think we encourage our customers to do that all the time. So the configuration management database, or the CMDB, that's obviously the house where all of this stuff lives, right? Where you bring all of your visibility into your systems across everything you've got, across all your systems, bring it into the configuration management database, and that is the system of record that all of the ServiceNow processes are going to use, whether it's things like event management, service mapping, all those kind of IT operation capabilities or business processes rely on the accuracy of the CMDB. One of the challenges that a lot of customers we talk to have is that while they got their CMDB created and everything was accurate, that's really only going to be accurate for a fairly short period of time. Systems go up, systems come down, connections between different elements in your computing world, whether you've got users attached to certain servers or applications running in one place or another, different storage devices being used by certain applications. Your CMDB gives you the visibility into all of those different interrelationships between all those configured items or CIs in your CMDB. So as those things change, discovery needs to be, and again, this is kind of the thesis of our presentation today, automation really needs to be brought to this problem, because keeping up with this manually is it's a fool's errand. You're never going to be accurate all the time. Things happen. You're not going to be able to react to them. So finding a way to make sure that the automation that is available can be taken advantage of to use the discovery process and make sure you're keeping your environment information up to date in your CMDB is critical. And again, the CMDB, from a context standpoint, it understands the interrelationships between these different elements. So being able to see and understand that context between elements is critically important. And, the CMDB, again, I've said it, I'll say it again, is really the foundation for your IT operational excellence. So committing to what you need to do to keep that CMDB accurate, up to date, and fully usable is really, really critical to your operations. There we go. Okay. I can't see that. There we go. My slide wouldn't advance. Sorry. So when I talk about automated discovery, what organizations are using their ServiceNow discovery process to do is, and to summarize some of the things I've already said, ensuring your hardware, your software, your OS elements are all documented in the CMDB. You know what they are, you know what version they are, and all those kind of things. Most critically, then, as those things change, which they will inevitably do, you're keeping track of that change management that's going on. You're understanding it. Your discovery processes is bringing it to your attention by getting it into the CMDB on an automated basis. And that's what gives you this sort of single view of your environment so that you can have an accurate, complete 360 view of everything, maybe is a way to think of it. But it is really critical that all of your data and all of your systems are included in that view, or you've got some blind spots. And again, the ability to have that one view of the truth, that single source of record, if you want to think of it that way, really is critical to being able to continue to operate your environment in a highly effective, a highly efficient, and reliable environment. So operational excellence, again, does rely on the CMDB, and the CMDB relies on automated discovery as a way to keep everything in there current. So kind of to really sum up the topic here, automated discovery can help minimize your risk and downtime because it's always current. It always knows what's out there in the environment and has updated the different relationships that it needs to. So it can improve your availability of your systems, improve the performance of the systems even to some extent, but it can make sure that those services you need to keep your business running are up and running. It can reduce the amount of times that you have issues that you have to deal with. Those, minimizing the user impact and being able to predict issues. Those are other ways of saying reduce the incident volume and the automation of the ability to react to those things. It reduces the burden on your IT staff, which is always overburdened and has more to do and less time to do it. Shorten your mean time to incidents and mean time to repair. That's a critical element. Things are going to happen. You don't want to paint a picture where if you run your CMDB right and you have automated discovery, you'll never have an issue. That's just not reality. The reality is there will be issues that come up. You can't predict and mitigate everything. But what you can do is try to find ways that can help you, having all the right information at your fingertips, be able to shorten the time it takes you to mitigate and repair those things. So, and then finally, the proactive elimination of service outages. This goes back to that one pillar that ServiceNow talks about in IT operations, about being proactive and predictive about what's going to happen, and to the extent that you can see things that have happened in the past and know that those things collectively happening again could cause this issue, you can find ways to keep that from happening or mitigate it quickly with an automation routine if it does happen. So being able to eliminate those service outages or shorten those service outages is a really critical element. So I've said multiple times how important it is to have everything involved in your IT infrastructure included in and visible in the CMDB. So one of the areas that we find a lot of times that people have sort of excluded from their CMDB, or they try to handle it manually in some cases, are their mainframe, their IBM Z, and their IBM I environments. Those are high-volume transaction environments. They do a lot of work. They run mission-critical applications, but sometimes they get left out of the ServiceNow environment, and this is really the core of why Precisely can help with this problem. It's important to add your mainframe and your IBM I systems and all the components of those systems and the applications running on those systems and things like that for a couple of different reasons. Again, I talked multiple times about a single system of record being critical. Well, without these systems, you don't have a single system of record. You've got fundamentally, you've got data silos. There's things happening on the mainframe that aren't visible to the rest of the organization who's working through ServiceNow to manage IT operations. By having all of the data you need to do an incident or the resolution really of an incident or a problem, you need to have all that data at your fingertips, and it's accurate, so it'll lead to faster resolution times on those kind of things. We also see, and I'm sure you guys are seeing this as well, the continuing move to more of a hybrid-based environment, on-prem, right alongside the cloud stuff, and being able to have the elements of IBM I and mainframe that are doing a lot of movement to the cloud. A lot of those systems are hybrid systems now where they're relying on on-prem and in the cloud environment, and having that all together in one place is really critical. And the operational efficiency goal that we have with this whole conversation really does rely on having everything in that one environment, so that you can see your entire IT infrastructure, managing them separately, and managing your IBMI or your mainframe in a separate way was an approach that a lot of people used to take, but we definitely find that people are moving away from that, and they need those environments integrated and considered alongside everything else, because those systems are much more interdependent and interrelated than they used to be, with web applications, things that are going through multiple business processes and front-end applications, but relying on the transactional processing power of mainframes and IBMI on the back end. You can't really troubleshoot a problem in that application that touches those back-end transactional systems without having that full visibility. And, when we look at how critical these mainframes are in the world here, you can see some of these statistics that will just generate that, 2.9 billion in the mainframe market. So it continues to grow. I know there's a lot of people sometimes that think, the mainframe is sort of slipping away. It's not. It's actually growing and becoming a more critical piece of people's infrastructure, and they are investing in it. More than 2 billion transactions a day per mainframe that are out there. So as I said, tremendous transaction processing power, absolutely true. It's used by a very strong majority of the Fortune 500 companies. Mainframe is a pervasive computing platform that's out there. It's particularly strong in some areas like financial services with banks. The world's top insurers are using it as well. And it's also strong in retail. Not surprising, because if you think of those three industries, and it's strong in a number of other industries, but when you look at the transaction needs, the transaction problem that those places have, particularly retailers, they're doing transactions all day long. Banks are doing, balance checks and transfers and all those things all day long. And insurance companies have that same kind of record-keeping challenge. So highly transaction-dependent sort of industries rely on the mainframe the most. IBMI is also in that same vein, and you've got companies, like I said, mainframe is 90% of the companies using it, saying it's a platform for their long-term growth. 75% of IBMI customers are running their core business applications on their IBMI systems. And 4 out of 5 executives are worried about being able to transform and include modernization and modern mainframe apps in their go-forward kind of IT planning. So these systems aren't going away. They're critically important today in today's world, and they're just becoming more important. So getting the data that you need to be able to see your entire IT infrastructure out of these systems is really what we're here to kind of talk to you about today. And I'm going to transition now over to Ian Hartley. He's going to talk a little bit more about the challenges that this brings to us and how we can help you solve those. Ian?
Great. Thank you, Bill. Very comprehensive kind of intro there. And thank you to everybody that's joined us today. It's great to see so many people interested in this particular topic. So let's take a closer look at what we offer in the context of automated discovery. And we're going to step beyond that just to cover all the bases here as well. Capturing information from your IBM Z and I platforms, as Bill has said, is important. But the reality of actually doing this is not so straightforward. Products like ServiceNow do not have broad out-of-the-box integration with these environments. These are mature, complex computing systems, and there is a lot of knowledge required to understand what, when, how, and why you should bring this type of information into the Now platform. And to be honest, ServiceNow has enough to do with tackling these complicated environments. They don't want to get involved with it. It's kind of off their radar to a point. They have plenty to do with the distributed and cloud environments that Bill's already mentioned. They've got those covered, but they do fall short with the likes of the IBM servers. That said, ServiceNow, if you know anything about it, does have some capabilities for mainframe and a little bit more for IBMI, but they are, in all honesty, slightly misaligned, not necessarily in the correct place in the CMDB per se, and they're also lacking what is needed to actually properly support these platforms. And it's like the way they look at it is they lead you up to the front door, but they really don't take you any further. And believe me, if you know anything about the IBM platforms, there's so much more behind that door that you need to see to make this useful in this context. And of course, this is where the precisely Ironstream for ServiceNow solution steps in. We open the door that I've just mentioned to reveal what is inside these environments. Ironstream gives you certified native capabilities to align your mainframe and IBM I systems with ServiceNow via integrations across not only discovery, but also into service mapping and event management. Now remember, these platforms, as Bill has said, are still very important, and they're often running critical back-end services that literally your business depends on. And it's no longer acceptable to have to rely on subject matter experts who reside in a siloed bubble, disconnected from the rest of the team. It's not necessarily an efficient way to run your business. You need visibility and that critical agility across all of your IT. Now, unfortunately, we hear over and over that companies still live with this kind of situation that some of you, I'm sure, you're familiar with. Oh, it's on the mainframe situation. The IBM platforms are still literally a black hole with minimal visibility, poor general understanding, and inefficient processes for capturing these types of insights, the status and the health of what is actually taking place. Why is that? This is not how you should be running your IT in today's 24/7, 365, always-on type environment. You need to keep your business working. And Ironstream literally removes this barrier and natively delivers very comprehensive information from these environments into ServiceNow, where your teams have a wider view, more control, and can work in the same way regardless of the source IT platform. So let's take a look at discovery, the main topic of today's session. This process really is a foundation within ServiceNow. It literally is the discovery of what exists from an IT perspective, giving you visibility of all things IT, as well as how these items relate to each other. Ironstream schedules and automates the process through ServiceNow, leveraging technologies such as the integration and reconciliation engine to seamlessly populate the CMDB with accurate, up-to-date information. But why do you need this? And in particular, why do you need it for the mainframe and IBM I? Well, some of this has already been covered with Bill's information, but the fact is that these systems are complex and often not well known outside that bubble of subject matter experts that I've referenced. There are also a lot of moving parts, and it's when you get visibility of what exists and how it all relates that you have a much better understanding of what you actually have. You may think you know, but you need clear visibility, especially when it comes to quickly fixing problems. And it's not just fixing those problems. There's also a need for a comprehensive inventory of what you have, and even down to covering audit use cases. That's a big use case in many organizations today, understanding what you have and how it's being used and making sure it's being used in the right way. Now, we often hear comments such as, but these environments don't change, and we already have monitors and tools on all these platforms. Well, as Bill's also mentioned, these environments do change and problems do exist on these platforms. It's well documented that it's those unplanned, unexpected changes that catch you out, often causing significant and very costly disruption. And yes, there are tools and monitors on these platforms. The point being, they are on the platform, and they're not central, providing visibility to a wider audience. Today's IT spans many platforms, and tools like ServiceNow bring everything together where your teams can operate efficiently and effectively to keep your business running. Siloed information kept off to one side leads to increased timelines and unwanted, unnecessary disruption. Your organization is investing in ServiceNow to drive efficiencies. So you need to maximize this by bringing elements from the IBM platforms into the same context. On the right here on this slide, we have a couple of screenshots. One is discovered information shown as a radial dependency map. It's just from a small collection of 4 LPARs and some of the related connections that we have across one of our development mainframes. But put that into the context of a production environment, it can be very busy, very complex. It's going to be a very busy diagram. And ServiceNow allows you to easily navigate around that infrastructure. And this is all created automatically by Ironstream. Alongside are other views from ServiceNow showing alerts, incidents, and the state of the CMDB. The point here being is that the mainframe and IBM information slots into the same ServiceNow processes and functional areas that you see from the non-IBM systems. So you're actually extending the reach and value of your ServiceNow investment to all your IT and getting the associated benefits. It literally is a win-win. So what does Ironstream actually discover? Well, here we have very high-level lists of the major areas covered by Ironstream. There's actually more detail behind each of these items, too much certainly to cover in a single slide. And beyond this, what you can see here, we have plans to put in place much wider and deeper discovery for both mainframe and IBM. So there is more to come for both of these areas. Now, these are the building blocks for getting comprehensive visibility and inventory of your IBM platforms. And our customers use these configuration items for a better understanding of what they are actually using and what they have and how it is or is not actually being put into practice. Because getting just this information alone can, by itself, be quite revealing. And I'm sure you can relate to this if you've got this kind of scenario. It was Christine who set up this particular thing in 1998, and she's the only one that really understands it. And now she's actually starting to think about retiring. It's a common scenario we hear about over and over. Once customers have these CIs in their CMDB, they can go on to make use of them in other ServiceNow products, such as service mapping, which crystallizes select items into the context of processes that actually run the business. Plus, discovered information can appear in the standard out-of-the-box ServiceNow views. For example, here we have the Service Operations Workspace. Now, this is used as a central point for handling alerts and incidents. Seeing items and issues from across your entire IT landscape is a good thing. Here, your team can quickly triage a situation, leveraging playbooks and efficient interactions, even potentially resolving situations with communication back to the host platform. As you'd expect, the information delivered by Ironstream aligns with this view. Mainframe and IBM configuration items discovered by Ironstream can be surfaced and referenced like any other CI. So here I have an incident that's actually automatically appeared in the workspace. It's related to a multi-platform demo service that we have. We call it the stock trading service, which is experiencing a severe slowdown and degradation in performance. So that's not something you really want to have in real-time stock trading. And it happens to be underpinned by services running on an IBM server. which, if you look closely, this is the CI referenced in the incident. So we brought the information into the CMDB, and now it's playing a part in out-of-the-box infrastructure and processes that run across ServiceNow. So it's bringing that context into what we're doing. So this is definitely better visibility around what we're doing. It eliminates the kind of time wasting that goes on, and we can leverage things such as playbooks and other help associated with a particular configuration item. So it just makes it super easy to know what, where, and even how to resolve an issue, or if needed, who to contact to get direct assistance. It just cuts down on that triage time and gets you directly to where you need to be in a very much more efficient and effective, and certainly a more proactive way for any given issue. And we haven't even mentioned things like AI ops and automated remediation per se, which is also possible with Ironstream via things like ServiceNow Workflow. But don't just take my word for it. Our customers are tapping into this, into a very smart, modern way of thinking to actually reap some benefits that are delivered through the ServiceNow platform. If you head on over to the ServiceNow store and search for the word Ironstream or Mainframe or IBM I, you'll find 6 apps from Precisely, 3 for Mainframe and 3 for IBM I, covering discovery, and as I've also mentioned, service mapping and event management. All are validated and certified by ServiceNow for the latest version of the Now platform. And Precisely is also called out as a featured vendor on the store with solutions that deliver comprehensive, solid capabilities. Our software is aligned with ServiceNow and their technologies and the IBM platforms, where we tread very lightly without impacting the processes and the workloads that are actually taking place on those platforms. Plus, you don't necessarily need to be a subject matter expert in all things IBM to take advantage of the information delivered through Ironstream. Talking about Ironstream's capabilities is absolutely fine. I could talk about it all day, but it's also important to see how this is creating value for our customers. Now, as usual, I can't name a specific organization, so I have to talk in general terms, but these are real examples from real customers. And the organization in this particular use case is a US-based investment and insurance company. And they use ServiceNow Discovery to get visibility into their IT infrastructure. But as we said, ServiceNow does not natively support IBM systems. To complete their view of their IT environment, the team was using manual processes to keep track of the IBM systems. They're important for them. They run a lot of processing for them, in the back office for what they do as a business in insurance. And this was a very time-consuming and error-prone kind of way of doing things, not great in today's kind of context of efficient IT. Implementing Ironstream Discovery enabled them to retire these manual processes, easily integrate to their IBM environments, and use the built-in automated ServiceNow facilities, just like they do for the rest of their non-IBM infrastructure. Now, this has had a huge impact for them. The team has increased their agility and their responsiveness by speeding up their problem resolution and actually lowering their MTTR, their mean time to resolution or repair metric. And they now have, as Bill's mentioned before, the 360-degree view of their enterprise, including the complex IBM systems that they literally rely on to run their business. The automation aspect of Ironstream alone improved their efficiency and eliminated the risk, from running from a homegrown solution. Plus, adding their mainframe real estate has significantly increased their ServiceNow ROI. The second company operates in another business area, a different kind of vertical space. This time it's an IT services and consulting organization. They host many mainframe and IBM I environments for other organizations that are their customers. Now, their challenge was literally onboarding any new environment. Each time they acquire a new client, they need to understand what they are taking on, get their arms around it. What do they need to host, and what do they need to look after, and make sure that everything is running well in order to keep their customer happy and their customers' customers happy as well. It's very mission critical for them to actually make sure that everything is on a stable environment and running, to perfection. Their existing processes were, shall we say, clunky at best, and by their own admission. They often took far too long, literally days, to actually get the information, and the net result of that was it produced inaccurate, outdated information, rendering it almost useless for them. They needed the information from these IBM servers centrally in the ServiceNow CMDB, but ServiceNow could not offer these capabilities. So they were seriously considering building their own onboarding and maintenance kind of setup and system to actually do this. But the closer they looked, the larger the task became. And so this drove them to look at alternatives, to find another solution. Ironstream and the Precisely team checked all the boxes. We provided seamless integration for them into ServiceNow. We have a deep understanding of the IBM environment across Mainframe and IBM I, and it delivers automated, accurate information that they can use straight away and rely on for what they need to do. And they're actually really genuinely excited about what this brings to them. It has literally changed the gears for them, and they're now speeding along quite nicely. Plus, it also allows them to have the ability to map services that traverse the Mainframe and IBM I. They're looking at how they can expand this into service mapping, going beyond the greatness they're getting from Discovery. And from our perspective, from a kind of a partnership point of view, we're willing to work together to actually look at their specific needs and add capabilities into product to make their journey even smoother and more value for them and their customers. So Ironstream actually easily became their chosen solution in their context. So I think, Bill, that turns us over now to Q&A. Do we have any questions?
Certainly does. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. Yeah, we do have a couple that have come in. Let's see here. So, Ian, let me direct this one to you. Doesn't ServiceNow provide some discovery of mainframe items? I think there is some element there of out-of-the-box support, right?
Yeah, there is. Absolutely. I mean, anybody here listening, go off, look at the ServiceNow documentation. You will find Mainframe and IBM I, certainly some more information about IBM I in the documentation, but they just scratch the surface. As I said, it's like walking up to the front door, and that's as far as you get. There's a ton of information behind there that you just don't have. That's what we're bringing into this context. And just a little side note around that, we're actually working directly with ServiceNow on how together we can improve this. So watch this space. There's definitely more to come.
Okay, great. Here's one I think about how to maybe get more engaged with this. If Ironstream is in the ServiceNow store, certified app, do I engage with Precisely, or do I just work through ServiceNow via the store? How do I really go to the next step here?
Well, you can engage with either of us. Both of us will talk to you as organizations, absolutely. But the start point with all of this is if you want to trial the software, kick its tires, etc., or even to go straight for a purchase, I'm not going to hold you back on that. Just go to the store and click the appropriate button, and things will kick into gear from that point. What we will do is we will deliver a couple of extra pieces to you, but also what it does is it auto-magically gives you a sub-production instance to use in your ServiceNow environment if you have that available to you. So go to the store, click the appropriate button, and everything will kick into place from there.
Excellent. Okay, one more here. As you mentioned when you were talking, Ian, you mentioned our service mapping and event management capabilities as well on the IBM I and Mainframe. The question here is, do I have to use Ironstream Discovery in order to take advantage of service mapping and event management?
That's a good question. All of these products live in the IT operations management or ITOM space from a ServiceNow perspective. So they are aligned, closely related. They are separate products, not only from us, but also from ServiceNow. People take the kind of plugins, maybe that's the old term, but they are separate implementations, and you don't have to use them all, but there's certain interdependencies between them. So from our perspective, discovery is the first step in many ways, but you can also start with event management. We do have customers that are using event management, but not discovery. I think they are moving towards discovery, but they decided to look at event management because it gives them kind of the two-way interaction between their source platform, in this case IBM I, and ServiceNow. That's where they see more energy, I guess. But most organizations start with discovery because they need that visibility and insight into what they really have and how it's related and connects all the things we've spoken about. What comes after that is service mapping. So let's say we've got millions of CIs that have been brought in, and you now have great visibility over everything. But actually, in reality, there are certain critical CIs that take place in or are used in certain services or lines of business that you run as an organization. That's where service mapping comes in. It's mapping a service, clues in the name, around what's important. So crystallizing out of that IT noise what you need to focus on when ABC system isn't working. You need to triage that quickly. Service mapping in our context brings the mainframe and IBM I piece into that view. You can connect it to the wider map for the off mainframe and off IBM I pieces of that journey. But it relies on the discovery of configuration items in the CMDB. So discovery, you then can go to service mapping if you want. Event management can be plugged in separately.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for that. I don't see any other questions right now. If some more come in late here, we certainly will get back to anybody that's submitted a question. We'll get back to you with an answer. Again, I would just like to thank Ian for co-presenting with me today, and thank all of you for attending. If you do want to reach out and have questions you'd like to get answered specifically for your own environment, you can reach us via the Contact Us form on our website, or we can even have a chat capability on our website. You can engage with us that way and get some quick answers, and we can certainly get you to the right resource to help investigate and or solve your problem. So again, thank you for your time today. It's much appreciated, and we'll look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Thank you.
All right. What a great presentation. Thank you so much, Bill and Ian, for putting together that excellent information, stuff that is really useful and really pertinent right now. And so that is a wrap on the content, but we do have one final thing to do today. The moment a lot of you have been waiting for. We have the Amazon gift card prize drawing ready to go. $250, as I said before, and as I mentioned previously, you do have to be present for the entire event to be eligible to win any of our gift cards, any of our prizes during our events. So we do have a winner for today. The winner of the $250 Amazon gift card is Kimberly Sue from Nevada. Congratulations to you, Kimberly. We will be in touch with you very soon to get you your card. And with that, we are out of here today. On behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Precisely for making this event possible. I want to thank all of you for being here with us, for attending, for your great questions, and for spending part of your day with us. We really enjoyed having you on today, being with you. It was a lot of fun for me. I hope it was for you too, and I hope to see you on some future events. That concludes today's event. And I truly hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye, folks. you.